Alright guys, today I'll be reviewing Maverick at Cedar Point. This is one of the most revolutionary coasters ever, as it was really the first thing since the 80s to not try to beat some huge record, be the fastest, flashiest out there. And you know what? This ride is better than most of those record breakers, and even compared to Velocicoaster and Pantheon and newer Blitz coasters, in my opinion, this is still the best one, and I'll explain why in this review. We're going to start off with the presentation, and man is this one of the most visually stunning coasters ever. Definitely the most visually stunning coaster at Cedar Point. I mean, of course, you've got that iconic shot that I didn't get any footage of really because, I was on a time crunch, but still, you know the shot. Over the lake, it goes out of the tunnel, goes over that hill, and does that huge sweeping turn over into the rockwork, and the three geysers just shoot out water, one after the other. It's one of the best visuals off-ride of any coaster, period. And on-ride, it's really cool too. Of course, you don't get that same geyser effect, but it still looks amazing just flying up against the water, and the rockwork on this ride really makes a difference. I honestly like the presentation of this ride more than Velocicoaster, I'm sorry, and I'll get into more detail about some of the theming during the ride when we actually get into the layout breakdown in just a minute, but we'll talk about this line first, because yes, this has definitely the longest line at Cedar Point usually. I saw that consistently throughout the summer when I was looking at queue times, and during my visit, that was definitely the case. But I don't care how long the line is, you have to experience Maverick. I don't care if it takes multiple breakdowns, hour-plus waits. You have to get on this thing every time you visit. Now, the operations themselves are actually very good. They're like the other Cedar Point ops, they really try. They try to pump out those trains as fast as possible. The restraints on this ride are pretty easy to check too. Just pull up on these Intamin soft strap restraints. And I actually really like these. I know it'd be a lot better with the lap bar, but I think with the laterals this thing dishes out, it would probably be illegal to have any sort of lap bar on this. So I'm definitely fine with these because they're definitely the best OTS restraint out there. Now, I only got one ride on this because of those time constraints and all that, but it was in row 5, so the second to last row. So I was happy about that, so I basically got a back row ride. And I remember from last time, too, that I liked the back a lot. And yeah, you definitely want to ride this in the back for the first element, which I'll get to right now. So you start by pulling out of the station, heading up that launched lift hill. It doesn't really do much force-wise, but it's really cool anyways. You fly up that way faster than anything else. And then you head down the first drop. And this is an easy top 5, maybe even top 3 first drop for me. This thing launches you so hard. And it's weird because Fahrenheit's got the exact same trains, exact same amount of rows. It's got similar height, similar angle of descent, but this thing clowns on Fahrenheit's first drop, alright? You get some of the most violent ejector you will ever feel. And what's bizarre is a lot of that pressure is getting shoved into the straps. So your thighs aren't really the thing that's getting shot up. I know that might sound painful having all those negative G's getting shoved up into your shoulders, but trust me, it's fine. And if anything, it's even better than the negative G's getting shot up into your thighs. Because, yeah, these soft straps really absorb the blow really well, so you definitely won't feel pain. I think a big part of what goes into making this first drop so good is the fact that you have such a good head of steam going into it. Pretty much any other first drop, except like El Toro's or something like that, has a bit of a slowdown and a bit of a slow period before you actually crest it. This, you just gun it over. And I also like how, on another drop, you'd slowly crest over the top and get, an 85-degree drop, whatever. However, this thing is going from the launched lift hill position, and it still has 30 or so degrees to clear before it can hit that max angle. So it's more like an 135-degree drop or something, it feels like. Obviously, it's not that, but the whip on it definitely feels like it is. It's very brief, but it's one of the strongest moments of airtime out there. And then right after, you're going to hit the mini triple snaps, as I like to call it, because oh my god, these aren't as good as the triple snaps, but they're still really good. You're going to get a great airtime lateral combination on each of these snaps. There's really 2 of them on this, not 3, but still, you get good positives in between them. The sense of speed is incredible, and this is another example of the good theming. You're flying through all this rock work, and it's not as elaborately done as a Disney park, say, would do it, but I don't care. This is all we need. We need this amazing rock work to fly in and out of, because the theming's just a bonus. The actual thrills and what you're experiencing are the main course, and this western-looking rock work just really adds to it. So then you get out of those snaps, and you hit a very aggressive ejector hill. It's sustained for a couple seconds, and you go absolutely skyrocketing. It's almost reminiscent of the Rolling Thunder Hill. I wouldn't say it's as good as the Rolling Thunder Hill, but it's still such a strong moment of ejector. And then you hit the worst part of the ride, which is the horseshoe roll. And this is definitely not a bad part of the ride. This is better than pretty much any other ride's dead spot, except, like Air Force One or something ridiculous like that. For any other ride, this would definitely not be the worst part of the ride. These are definitely fun, floaty inversions. You definitely get some good laterals throughout them. And there's some positive G's throughout the valleys of them, because, it's a horseshoe roll. You've got to turn in between them. And I definitely love the setting over the trees and everything. It's not quite as cool as the rock work from before, but I still like the setting on this. So after that, you're going to get one little snap going into the launch section. This kind of throws you out of your seat a little bit, but not really. I know my friend Carter really raves about this moment, but it wasn't as good as he was saying it would be, but still. It's a little fun imperfection on this ride. And now you're going to start preparing to go into the second launch. And a lot of people definitely complain about this section, but I don't think it's that bad, and a lot of that has to do with the theming. This is one of my favorite moments of theming ever. It feels theatric. And I know that's crazy saying this moment of theming is better than any moment of theming on Velocicoaster or Hagrid's or whatever, but yeah, I love this. You pull up into this barn-looking thing, and you start slowing down, but not to a complete stop, only to the point where I could probably run faster than it, but still, you're not at a standstill, that's for sure. And in this barn-looking thing, you've got these railroad crossing signs, and they start flashing, they start making that noise of, oh yeah, the train's about to come, you know what I'm talking about, the ding, 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 whatever. And, oh my god, it builds that anticipation, and you don't get any warning when you're gonna launch. So just having those lights flashing, hearing that railroad crossing sound, oh my god, it just sets it up so perfectly for you to just gun it out of that barn. And I don't really know if it's a barn, but it feels like it, so that's what I'm gonna call it. And when you actually launch, it's a very punchy launch. It might be a top 5 launch for me, I don't know. It's up there. It's definitely not as good as Hulk's or the hydraulics, I feel like, but it could be next. It's a little disappointing, but I still like it more than Velocicoaster's second launch. I'm sorry, it's just not that good. But yeah, this element's definitely fun. Definitely not one of the highlights of the ride in my opinion. But again, the theming definitely adds to it. It sets up this launch perfectly. And then right before you shoot out of the barn, you're going to take a hard left-hand turn. And you're going to get absolutely thrown to the left. You're going to get pummeled with positives here. It's just a great moment of positives here. And you're going to be blinded by the light coming out into the light here because it was pretty dark in there. So it might take a minute to adjust. So after that turn, you're going to go over this drawn-out trimmed hill. A lot of people hate this element, but I still get a little bit of lift. It's not completely useless. And of course, it sets up that iconic turn over the water. And on ride, you really feel that speed throughout this turn. Even though that past hill was trimmed, you feel like you're absolutely flying way too fast throughout this. You feel all that wind in your face. You feel like you can just reach out and touch the water almost. It's one of the coolest visuals out there. And especially if you could see the geysers and look behind you, that would be, oh my god, that would be one of the best visuals of any coaster of all time. And off-ride, it is one of the best visuals of all time. Coaster, non-coaster, whatever. I could just sit there and watch that all day if it didn't make me want to ride it. But anyways, then you're going to hit the most infamous part of the ride, and that is this little S-bend throughout this rock work. And obviously it's infamous because it used to be the Heartline roll. Now, of course, this would have completely ripped up the track. It wouldn't have lasted, you know the drill. However, knowing this would probably be even better than Air Force One's arcade roll, oh my god, that makes me think this could be a top 5 coaster in the world if it had that diabolical of an element in the middle of the ride like this. God, I would have loved to experience that. But anyways, we can only hope that someday they'll bring it back or whatever. It probably won't happen, but, you know, we can dream. Instead, we got this little S-hill, which gives a weak pop of airtime lateral combination. And it's fun, but it's more about carrying that speed, flying throughout this rock work, which, again, looks amazing on ride. You really feel that sense of speed and the wind in your face throughout all this. But then this is where this ride really shines, and that is the Stangle dives. These are the best parts of the ride, in my opinion. That first drop is incredible, but man, these Stangle dives are some of the greatest moments of laterals out there. If you wanted to make an argument for these being the best moments of laterals out there, I couldn't really argue with you. I definitely could. I definitely argue the arcade roll is, but it's definitely a valid opinion, because these things absolutely throw you so hard. This first one absolutely throws you mercilessly to the right. You get a little airtime pop combined with it, and it somehow feels like you're just going to break through the straps and completely fly off this ride. It is so violent. And then you get some great positives going into the second one, and then you hit the second one, and this is my favorite because it's got 2 distinct bursts. The first one absolutely throwing you to the left like the first one did to the right, and then coming out of it, you get thrown to the right again. Oh my god, these elements are perfect, and that second one also gives a really good pop of airtime. So these Stangle dives are some of the greatest moments out there, in my opinion. And then, for good measure, you have an insane ejector hill. It's a speed hill, so you really feel that sense of speed still. This whole second half does not let up after the trim. You feel like you're gunning it way too fast throughout this layout. And you get a great pop of ejector throughout this speed hill. And then you turn to the right, getting a good moment of laterals to the right. And then you snap upright into the brakes. And that's your ride on Maverick. You just experienced one of, if not the most diverse coaster on the planet. This ride does everything, unless you want backwards airtime or whatever. But besides that, if you want it, Maverick's got it. You want insane ejector, great positives, disgustingly strong laterals. It's got everything you could want. It's even got a bit of hang time with the horseshoe roll. It's got mad whip. It's got the sense of speed. It's got a launch. Yeah, this ride's just perfect. Obviously, the elements aren't quite as strong as some of the ultra elite coasters out there like Magnum or Air Force One, but for what it is, this ride does everything really well, which is why Maverick's going to get a 10 out of 10 for me. This is an easy top 10 coaster. Iron Gwazi, El Toro, Sky Rush, and this are all extremely close. I mean, it depends on the day, but I could have this at number 8, Iron Gwazi at 5. I could have this at 5 and Gwazi at 8. It really just depends on how I feel. Those 4 are all so close. But yeah, this ride is absolutely a masterpiece. Everything this ride does is phenomenal. And again, it does everything. It looks amazing. It's got every force you could want. And this is absolutely the best ride in Frontier Town by far. So let me know what you guys think of this ride down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.